Good afternoon. It is 101. I'm Jackson Williams from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Florida Gators are national champions after defeating the Houston Cougars by a score of 65-63. The Gators trailed by as much as 12 in the second half, but came back to secure their first college national basketball title since going back in 2006 and 2007. Will Richard led the Gators in scoring with 18. Titans are hosting Washington State wide receiver Kyle Williams on a 30 visit. Williams was teammates with top quarterback prospect Cam Ward for one season in 2023, catching 61 passes for 841 yards and 6 touchdowns. The Tennessee baseball team is back on the diamond tonight as they host Alabama State tonight. First pitch in that one set for 5 p.m. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And Blaine, as you can see from my shirt,
I cannot see. My screen is black because it's broke.
But I'm in person.
I don't look. I look down. I don't
for the people. For the people at home, let's see. Okay, I was making sure. The reason why I'm checking, so we had a leak in our between where our master shower is and our drywall. So I got all this drywall
from the
ceiling.
storm?
And I'm waiting on a text from the plumbers to see when they're going to come because I get my wife 40 minutes heads up because she's packing for a trip that's coming up this week. So
my wife's going on a trip too.
Yeah, maybe they're going together. Where's your wife going? Can you legally say?
I'm gonna say the wrong place naturally, but she's going to some wine vineyard in California. It's not Napa Valley.
She's going down to West Palm Beach. She missed the owners week by
she's going to Breakers.
Yeah, she's going to Breakers. If we can afford Breakers, holy crap! I need to find out where she's getting that money from.
Jackson said he's gonna go there for a day.
That's probably where Joseph is right now on his honeymoon. Is at Breakers.
Oh, where is he honeymooning at?
He's in Aruba.
Oh yeah, Aruba, Jamaica. Come on. Y'all know that song? Yeah, no, y'all don't.
I know that song.
Okay.
Kokomo.
Yes, exactly. You knew that song, Jackson? No.
Oh, yeah, I've heard the Beach Boys.
Okay. Yeah,
he probably heard the Muppets version, to be honest with you.
Been to Aruba a few times. Antigua. We can go down the list. Yeah.
All right. Last night, what a game. And if you listened to Blaine Bishop and myself yesterday, we told you to take the under, and you would have made yourself some money if you'd have listened to us.
But not to Jackson.
Yeah.
He's got everything right except this one. And
I believe
this was a tough
Coach T's winning streak is over.
Yes, he did.
Because he said 72-66 Houston, and it was 65-63 Florida. Yeah. And what a game. The way that first half went, Blaine.
Oh, my God.
I almost sent you a text and said, I'm praying for you. Because your bracket relied on Florida.
I did.
And I was like, these guys are toast. They are not getting the shots to fall. They are looking sloppy.
Yeah.
And I could not believe even at halftime is as close as it was.
Well, that's what saved me. I want to cut you off, but I'm going to just say this little part. Is that they were only down by 6, Florida, and the Clay kid had no points. I said, Clayton. I said, man, this is not as bad as it seems because there's no way he could play that poorly for another half. Now it wasn't that he was just playing poorly. Houston was doing their job on defense, on the pick and rolls. They were doubling, forcing him to pass the ball. He was forcing shots from deep. I mean, as soon as he crossed half court one time, he shot. I'm like, oh, my God, what are you doing? So, they had a great scheme against him, and he wasn't shooting well. He had a bad night, but he became clutch in the second half. Also, I thought the referees called it tighter in the second half. Mm-hmm. The first half, I thought they let them play. Did you think that or no? You just didn't pay attention to it? I thought they let them play in the first half. In the second half, I thought they were giving, ticky-tack fouls on Houston, to be honest.
You think it's some SEC bias?
No, I just thought referees, I don't know where they came from, but I like consistency when you're playing. If you're making whole bunch of back, you just keep on rolling. But that was a shocker though. I really thought the game was over when they got down by 12.
What you got, Jackson?
I think some of those fouls towards the end of the game were more bad positioning by Houston's defense. To where the only type of contest that they could put up on some of these backdoor cuts and backdoor plays that Florida was running was to foul.
Yeah. So, but if it played to Florida's favor, man, and I only stuck with them because I had them in my bracket. But man, I sure thought that this
12 a combined 12 of 49 from the 3-pointers.
Dang.
And Nick Ewing in the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, wherever you watch Zone TV, said, can we stop playing Final Fours in football stadiums because of that stat? And I do wonder, maybe there is something to it. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago and about the depth perception and all that kind of stuff. I do wonder about that. But like Walter Clayton Jr., he ended up turning it up in the second half. He ended his night with 7 assists, 11 points, 5 rebounds. All of them defensive rebounds. And listen, I think ESPN put it right. Florida's Walter Clayton Jr. came up with the perfect going away present for that spirit-crushing Houston defense that bullied, battered, and bedeviled him all night.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, again, it's all about your star players, even when the chips are down, coming in when they need them to. And he came in the second half. Also, Will Richard got 18 points.
He carried them in the first half.
Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and that's why another reason why I liked Florida is because they had multiple players could go off now.
Yeah.
I watched them all SEC, and I go, man, this is a real balanced team. Even though, Clayton had been putting up performances outlandish here in the tournament, but I was like, man, and he did. He held them in the game. I know he hit a couple threes back to back. I was like, wow. So that he was the savior, to be all honest.
I mean, Houston gave them everything they have, and that final, 10 seconds, whatever it was, where Florida's defense just kind of became Houston for a second. In a moment in time, they became Houston. And they ended up losing the ball in a dribble, had to pick it up, and then they ended up getting it. I mean, this is what Clayton said when asked what he was trying to do at the finish. Just go 100%. We were just trying to get a stop, and we happened to get it. I'm happy we got it done. But that's the thing. No matter what was going down in that game, your star players are always giving it 100%. And what's even more remarkable, Blaine, Florida is the first team in the modern era to win the national championship without a top 100 recruit on the roster.
Yeah, they were talking about that afterwards. I was really stunned by that. At the same time, those are the teams that I really love, knowing all of that, because that means if you have enough talent, blue collar, and then eventually Clayton, he got to the rack, had a couple and ones, and then finished it off with the free throws too. That really got him back into the flow a little bit, and then they start running plays for him again. So, yeah, I love the team effort because you have an accumulation of players that play well together. You can beat the more elite players. Talent isn't always the best thing if you have enough talent. So, and then you got the clutch, the mindset. So, and I thought really Houston had that. That was really weird to see how that went down the last 2 minutes and the 4 turnovers that they had during that 2 minutes. I had never seen them, especially, a team with experience all season and dealt with close games all along. So, man, I felt for Sampson, the head coach, and everything, involved. It was disheartening, but I wanted Florida to win. But I was like, dang, that is not the way. If I was Sampson, I want to go out.
You talk about those final minutes or those final moments of the game. Houston coach Kelvin Sampson called it incomprehensible that the Cougars couldn't get a shot off on either of their last 2 possessions. Yeah, wow. Credit to Florida.
Yes.
And I guess congratulations to Rand Carthon, who called into the Ramon, Kayla, and Will show this morning to gloat about his Florida Gators winning the national championship.
Yeah. Well, here's what it did for me. It confirmed that this season that the SEC was the best conference because I kept asking that question, how many had to make the Final Four, how many make the 8? I mean, they won the national championship because they had the most teams in the tournament. So it shows that the SEC is here to stay, man. And they're going to be having different teams, maybe some of the same teams, but in this tournament in the Final Four, I think we need to get used to they are always be in the hunt for the national championship if they keep it on this track.
Well, let me say this. You look at what I say earlier. I said that Florida, because we're talking staying power, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know that University of Tennessee, they just got a forward, if I'm not mistaken, from Vanderbilt. Was that the forward that came from Vanderbilt? Looking at you, Jackson, for the answer to that question. He's saying yes. But the Florida, no top 100 recruits. That's going to change. This win could change the trajectory of the entire program in terms of recruiting, which also means that maybe Golden in his third year is going to have better teams, more talent to work with, as long as he keeps that team chemistry aspect that this Florida team had in depth. Florida could be one of those other teams that you're going to be talking about year after year after year now because of how young the coach is in his tenure at Florida and because of how they won and what they won with.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The question I left after the game was over is, did Florida actually win the game or did Houston lose the game?
Oh, that is a good question. I would have to say just because of what I saw on on Florida's defense's last two possessions and the resiliency by a really young team, I do think Florida won the game.
You, Jackson?
I agree Florida won the game, but I do also think Houston made some uncharacteristic errors in the final minutes. 5 turnovers in the second half. They went 23 minutes without a turnover against Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, they had 4 in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were just very uncharacteristic, which led – but Florida closed it out, and Florida came back. Florida took advantage of the mistakes that Houston made, even though they were so uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk about the Tennessee Titans. We got Cam Ward and an interesting factoid about Cam Ward's offseason last year. And also, there's a lot of 30 visits being floated out, and they all kind of don't make sense. Maybe we'll try to make sense of it coming up next. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Did you know Eurofix has a very different business philosophy? They staff all their locations with more staff than the average auto repair shop, just so they can be ready for when an emergency pops up out of nowhere. So have you ever noticed how hard it is to get a right now appointment for a vehicle repair? Well, some dealers can be more than 2 weeks out just to get a freaking appointment, but not Eurofix. Eurofix has been offering quality repairs that beat the dealer without the dealer pricing since 1999. Plus a 3-year nationwide warranty and the staff to fix your car right now. So if you're tired of waiting forever to get your car into the shop, then call Eurofix. Owner Aaron Stokes says, we will never be too busy for our customers. We're here to take their pain away, and we mean right now. And Eurofix repairs all European cars, and Eurofix says yes to speedy repairs when others can't or won't. Family owned for 26 years. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine said that.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We just got done wrapping up the men's basketball season. And I got something that crossed my timeline over the weekend, Blaine. And it was an interesting story about Cam Ward. Now, what I'm about to tell you is going to have a question followed up with it. Okay. But this is from Ian Valentino, who covers college football for A to Z Sports. And he said that multiple sources confirmed to me that Buckeye, and this is from 2024 last year, September 16th, 2024. Multiple sources confirmed to me the Buckeyes and Miami Hurricanes were in a bidding war for the prior Washington State and Incarnate Word playmaker, Cam Ward. So my question to you is, how do you think, let's just take a hypothetical timeline where Cam Ward goes to Ohio State. Because everybody really talks highly of Will Howard, and I think Will Howard had a great season, great leader, all that kind of stuff. But Cam Ward obviously is the number one quarterback in this draft class. Do you think we would view Cam Ward differently as a prospect if he played on that Ohio State team, thrown to guys like Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka, and being with that double-headed running game behind him? I mean, Damian Martinez is no slouch, don't get me wrong. But do you think because that is a better all-around team, he would have had more signature wins that would have made him look a little bit in a better light in this draft class among these draft analysts?
Then he would have had a national title, huh?
More than likely.
More than likely.
More than likely.
You said we're doing hypotheticals.
Yeah. I mean, especially if he won the national title.
No doubt. Well, for me personally, I get it. The perception would have been different. I think so. I think the perception, Miami, they didn't make the top 12, did they?
No, they didn't even make the ACC championship.
Right. So I just think, maybe. Some fans would be more all-in board on instead of, I don't know.
And I think probably more eyes. I mean, he had some eyes on him, but I also think that the way this draft cycle kind of worked out, you saw more and more that the big-time draft analysts that used to be able to dedicate their entire existence to watching film during the season are now being pulled in so many directions at these bigger companies that maybe because he played for Ohio State, maybe he would have more eyeballs on him. Because eventually, I think the film caught up to the analysis caught up to the film a little later than normal than what we're used to when it comes to Cam Ward.
Because they would have been in the spotlight every weekend. So not especially going to the national championship if he was on that team. So if they would have made it with him as that quarterback. So I think, publicly, I think fan bases would definitely perception would.
I mean, obviously, he's not going to change.
That's just human nature,
right.
though.
Yes.
See? But if you're, when you're a scout, you can't be that way. You're watching what you see on film and kind of living by that. But you say, hey, man, if he had better weapons around him, maybe he could have done this, or if he had a better offensive line or running game.
Hey, listen, better coaches. No knock on Mario Cristobal and the staff down there, but I mean, Chip Kelly as your offensive coordinator, bet you can really learn a lot from Chip Kelly, and especially up at Ohio State. What about you, Jackson? What do you view this whole hypothetical could have been, how it would have affected him?
I mean, he's still been number one.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's still number one, but I think that we would have gotten there quicker.
Yep.
I think it would have expedited the process, but do we know that for sure? Yeah. How Cam Ward would have performed at Miami, or how he would have gelled with this certain type of offense or this different things. There's different factors at play that could have changed the course of how this process has gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and here's the smart aleck comments coming from the chat. Dick says, maybe Ohio State would have won the championship if Cam Ward was on the team. Right. Like, I mean, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Cam Ward, the prospect, not Ohio State's results. I think Nick Ewing has a good point here. If Cam Ward went to OSU instead of Miami, Ward would have had a 2019 Burrow Heisman type of season. It would have been the definitive number one pick. And I think that's where I'm getting at is like, I bet that instead of Ashton Jeanty being second place in votes for the Heisman, because I still think Travis Hunter would have won it, Cam Ward likely would have been second. Like, it just changes the narrative for Cam Ward, not for Ohio State.
Right, because they won the Natty without him.
Right.
That's really hard to say, but I would assume that we would have known him sooner or later that he was an elite quarterback instead of taking this momentum time. And then maybe he would be viewed as a higher seed instead of saying he's a top 15 player of the draft. And just because he's quarterback, he's going number one.
Yeah.
He would have been an undefinitive
like
number
top
one
5
guy.
or something like that. Because
Yeah.
it would have been hard even if you would have had a better season and still won the championship to really overtake probably Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter on people's big boards. He may have overtaken Mason Graham, but probably not Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter.
Well, here's even better example. He's not, he's another quarterback. Just use the quarterback that's on Ohio State team. I view him differently watching him through that process in the playoffs than I would have before. And I'm sure the NFL will be now.
Yeah.
He may be somewhat like a 3rd round pick or so, or whatever, wherever he may go. Before that, I think people were saying he's 5th through 7th.
Yeah.
So it did help.
A lot of people in the chat, right, have been like, well, if you trade back, you can still get Will Howard, right? So, like, if you would have swapped to put Will Howard in Miami, nobody'd be talking about Will Howard, right? Like, I mean, situation does matter. Cam Ward was able to do a really good job with what he had down there, and he didn't really have slouches, right? Elijah Arroyo, Sam Brown, Jalen Rivers,
Thornton.
a guard, and Xavier Restrepo and Damian Martinez are 5 players that are all going to get drafted.
Yeah. But what the wide receiver? Oh, he transferred. Where'd he go? What was the receiver that played for the U? I thought it was Thornton.
There's another one. Jacoby George is the 3rd wide receiver down there, but I don't think that's the one you're thinking of.
Oh, who's the guy that ran the 4.3?
Dante Thornton.
That was for UT.
Yeah.
I thought it was another. Oh man, I think he transferred. He did well too. Oh man, I can't think of his name, but I'll figure it out.
I just thought it was an interesting hypothetical to just talk about, the viewing of a prospect way too early in the process. Because I think, again, people are still harping on this idea that, well, Cam Ward wasn't the best quarterback a few weeks ago, and now all of a sudden he is, when really it's that the tape caught up to the analysis. And I think I guess maybe the analysis caught up to the tape. Either way, the analysis came first before the tape. And that's just the nature of this new draft cycle that we're living in. And I think for the most part, that's just kind of what I'm talking about, is like maybe the beginning of the draft process would have looked a whole lot different for Cam Ward if he had been with Ohio State. So yesterday, while we were on the show breaking down wide receivers, we'll be breaking down linebackers a little bit later this hour. And then we also have Coach Mack coming on to do his weekly Mack Attack. The Tennessee Titans met with a slew of 30-round picks over the last 24 hours. Donovan Jackson, an offensive lineman from Ohio State, who played guard, then kicked out to left tackle, and Josh Simmons went down with injury. TJ Sanders, defensive lineman out of South Carolina. Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. And what's been really unique about those 3 names in particular, and then you can add in names like Caleb Johnson in there as well, Femi Oladejo, is that they're second-round worthy players. They don't really feel like 35 worthy players, and it kind of feels to me that they're gearing up for some kind of trade. Whether that is a trade back or trading of a player, and we'll maybe break down who I think that player is in one of the other positional episodes. A little tease right there. But it feels like they're gearing up for some kind of trade, because these guys really float around. Either they're likely not going to be there or they're reaches. So it seems like something is happening where there could be a trade involved for the Tennessee Titans revolving around that second round.
Well, they could be doing their due diligence just in case something happens as far as them trading maybe their number 1 pick or their second round pick. You just never know. You want to make sure you're thorough here. And it's always weird for me, just personally, just seeing who visits. And I go, oh, I wonder why he's visiting. I mean, do they need that? He's not going to be a top. I always thought the visitors were going to be first or second round guys, and after that, they all teams have changed in how they go about this. So you just never know. Maybe it was some question about them, whether it was personally or mentally. As far as on film, you wanted to ask some more questions, get a little more detail, get to know them better. So maybe that's all involved in this, and just nothing really to take from it. They just being thorough. I have no idea, because I think, and this is a new, upper management. So you say, okay, in the past, some of those guys that visit, most of the guys that visit didn't even get drafted by the Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, so you just never know.
Now, we'll talk about running backs in a later episode, but, I mentioned a guy like Caleb Johnson. I'm still not convinced that he's a running back that's going to go in the second round, but the consensus is right now is that he's a second round running back. I would be very surprised if they drafted a running back in the second round, wouldn't you be? Even if they had 2 seconds, wouldn't you be a little surprised if they drafted a running back then?
Man, I think you brought the question up. I don't know. It might have been a couple weeks ago or last week or so about a position I didn't think they would draft high, and that is one of them. And because I think this is a deep running back class.
Right.
So I think you can get somebody in the 4th, 5th round that is worthy of actually being a starter or rotational player immediately.
And we talked about this last week is I feel like this, when you look at a guy like Caleb Johnson, who has no really defining traits to me that make him worthy of a second round pick, I'm like, okay, is there really that big of a difference between Caleb Johnson and Bishal Tootin besides style? You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Like they are Brashard Smith or Jarquez Hunter. There's not enough to where I'm like, yeah, you got to draft Caleb Johnson. That's still why it's very peculiar they bring him in for a 30 visit, unless they are of the mindset that I am, is that he's going to fall to day 3. Now, other experts don't agree and mock drafts don't agree, but I kind of feel like this running back class, you're going to see maybe 2 or 3, probably 4, and none of them are Caleb Johnson, go in day 1 and day 2, and then I think a lot of them are going to fall to day 3 because that's just the nature of the position. Yeah,
I would agree with that. So, that would be a reach. I don't know. He's a good player, but I would say he was more 3rd round or after for sure. I mean, man, I would be a little disappointed.
He had the we're going into running backs, and I know we got an episode, but he's one of those guys that had wide open spaces to run through, and his vision, I think, when anything was muddled, was really poor when I watched it on film. But at the end of the day, that's who they're bringing in on 30 visits are guys that, there are some day 3 guys, but a lot of these guys are considered by some, or by the majority, I guess I should say, top of the day 2. Some of it, like Donovan Jackson, the guard out of Ohio State, some people think he'll go in the 1st round. So it makes me feel like there's some kind of trade that's going to happen. And I'll just go ahead and bring it up right now. A lot of people at the trade deadline sniffed around Jeffrey Simmons this past season. And I wonder if more people are going to come calling about Jeffrey Simmons, and now with a new general manager in place, a new quote-unquote new power structure in place, but a new general manager, new assistant GMs and all this kind of stuff, if maybe they're more willing to part with Jeffrey Simmons than the prior regime was.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me because he's one of their pieces that is the most valuable on the team, and he could garner maybe some good collateral. So I wouldn't be surprised if anything like that. You just never know. One thing to note, though, he's been injured. He had the what's it called, in the elbow, the URL or whatever it's called. And then the year before that, I think he was nicked up with an ankle he was playing through. So I don't know if he's, fully healthy or nobody, cares about that. He just because he played through it. But the production wasn't there like typically you would want. So, the coaches were fine with it. And you got to say he was a soldier to fight through all that. And I haven't heard that he had any surgery on his elbow because didn't he say he needed surgery?
Well, the rumor was at the beginning was that it was an injury that typically requires a Tommy John surgery.
Right.
And now I don't know where that was at the beginning when the injury first happened and he first put the brace on and everything. I don't know how things have changed since then.
Well, he didn't get surgery.
As far as we know, we have not been told.
Did you hear anything about that, Jack?
Yeah.
I have not heard he had surgery.
Oh, so maybe it just is healed, or healed on its own. He made that choice to, let it just go. And so, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at anything at this point in time.
Yeah, and speaking of surprises, maybe you're not surprised or a little surprised, but the Tennessee Titans are not done in free agency, obviously. That's not the surprise. Oh. The surprise may be is that they're looking at George Fant, tackle, from Houston and Seattle the last 2 years. Yeah. And he was a guy that they were choosing between Chris Hubbard, if you remember, at right tackle, and George Fant. And they ended up paying less to Chris Hubbard. Less to Chris Hubbard.
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago, the 2023 season when NPF was suspended.
Right.
So this brings you back to, okay, well, they're bringing in a guy that has left side, right side versatility, who's a veteran, at least for a visit. Now, he's also, I think, got a visit lined up with the Ravens, and if you're choosing one or the other, who you choosing? I guess whoever pays you more, but.
Well, I heard him make the comment that, the Ravens are a playoff contending team naturally, and he says, but my home is in Nashville. So both of them will be appealing to him either way. It probably, whoever.
Maybe if it's like a $1 million difference, maybe it doesn't change his mind.
Living here, just stay at home, right?
Yeah.
I can sleep in my own bed.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. But I do find that interesting from a roster construction standpoint in the sense of NPF is still floating around on this team, and Jalen Duncan is too. Mm-hmm. So you kind of wonder if maybe you signed George Fant, NPF maybe makes it through camp, but is probably not long for the final 53.
It's hard to predict because he's not signed yet, but he's definitely better than those options there. Mm-hmm. So, I wanted them to sign him back then. So
I did too.
Yeah, and he ended up playing for, I think, whoever he went to, he played a little bit there because of the injury. So, you want your security blanket that bounce back, veteran guy who understands how to be a pro and when called upon, even if in a game. My era was Scott Sanderson, and he was always ready to go. And, man, we felt like we didn't miss a beat. So you got to have those guys. Guys are very, very valuable. And I actually would somewhat push to overpay, even though they're standing probably more than they're playing.
They got the money to do it.
Yeah,
I mean, they ain't spending much else.
I would make that call because you don't want anything to stop that train going. If the offensive line comes together like they believe it will, the worst case scenario is going to be an average offensive line in the NFL. So hopefully they can get better than that with Bill Callahan at the helm.
Well, my thing is that I'm looking at it from this perspective of, hey, you got a rookie quarterback coming in, Cam Ward. Again, you were talking about it, but it's also to the fact that, hey, you don't want to stop the momentum, and especially at tackle when you have a guy like Cam Ward who likes to move around in the pocket and avoid rushers. It's good to have a guy that's maybe worked with people like that. A little Geno Smith, a little bit of C.J. Stroud. When you kind of look at it, it makes sense from that perspective to kind of go with a guy like this. And so he can come in and listen, he is about to be 33, I think. So maybe he's okay with not having a starting role if he lives here in Nashville and he gets paid a couple $1 million and it's all just kind of gravy for him, a little swan song on the way out. But at the end of the day, this would be a very underrated and very good signing for the Tennessee Titans if they were able to get this done.
They even they took pictures of him in the parking lot, like they had signed him.
Yes, I remember that.
That was him, right?
Yes, that was George Fant.
Okay, so they accidentally put him in their players arriving for training camp slideshow a couple of years ago.
They thought he was somebody else, whoever was over that.
No, they had his name under it. They just put the picture in the slideshow.
I was trying to help him out.
And then he didn't sign.
Yeah, that was such a weird thing.
I just was like, oh, this is a great signing. If something happened, yeah. And then they were like, no, that's not true. What? Yeah, I posted it.
Hey, listen.
That's false.
He's blocked for Russell Wilson, who is another guy who's known for scrambling extended plays. This is a guy that can provide valuable experience from his own talent and ability of what he knows, what is expected of him starting on the outside if it were to come to it. So I'm all for depth on this offensive line, but quality depth. Like, I understand there's a myriad of offensive lineman players in the wings for this team, but you need a guy like George Fant to come in and provide actual starting and quality starting experience.
Yeah. And I love this whole story because he went to Western Kentucky, if I can remember off the cuff, and then he played tight end there. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jackson.
He did go to Western Kentucky.
And he played tight end, and then they moved him. I don't know if they moved him his last year.
He did play tight end.
Or it was his first year in the league. I think they moved him his last year at WKU.
Yeah.
But, and then, so he's real athletic. So a guy like that, especially has never really been a starter, 33 is really like 28 in my mind. for him as an NFL player.
Yep.
And so then to me, he'll last longer and he'll give you starting quality if he gets out there. So in athletics. So I just thought this was a no-brainer. And when he went somewhere else, I was stunned because they had hooked, line, and sinkered me with that pitcher. Yeah.
Jackson?
So George Fant was mostly a basketball player in college.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He played his 5th year of eligibility, only 1 year of college football. He had 1 reception for 7 yards and 2 tackles. He was a tight end. He did not switch to offensive tackle
We got to the
until the pre-draft process.
Okay. I wasn't sure on that. And he's also, I think, related to the Fant, the guys that went to UT. I think so. But yeah, so I may be remembering wrong. I'm just doing off the cuff because, yeah, I just know I liked him. I was like, dang, they didn't want him.
And the guy that you were thinking of was Isaiah Horton.
Oh, Isaiah Horton was the guy on another
was
conversation.
The trade of the Miami and then the conversation earlier.
Yeah, so I always get those two mixed up, Horton and
Yeah. Hey, it's easy to do. All right, when we come back, we'll start deep diving into the linebacker prospects of this draft and what it means for the Tennessee Titans and what Brian Callahan had to say about Cedric Gray. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Ever wonder how I keep my mojo? Well, hey, it's Blaine Bishop here. And if you're looking for the best tacos in town, you got to check out Mojo's Tacos. They've got 3 amazing locations, including my favorite spot in Nolensville. And Mojo's Tacos is where the magic happens. Whether you're craving their mouth-watering carne asada, their delicious fish tacos, or their famous street corn, they've got it all. And don't forget to try their house-made salsa. They pack a punch. And each location has a great vibe. Perfect for a family night or, going out or catching up with your friends, your bros, and everybody else, even Cool and Jackson. Plus, their friendly staff will make you feel right at home. So head on over to Mojo's Tacos and taste the difference. Trust me, you won't disappoint. Mojo's Tacos. They have 3 locations. Don't forget, an unforgettable experience.
We've got the trucks, all the trims, all the towing, all the bells and whistles, and all at Truck Month Savings. Two Rivers Ford is Ford Truck Central.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. And we're going to preview the linebackers. Now, we got Coach Mack coming up at 2:20 p.m., brought to you by Tourist Ford for his weekly Mack Attack. And we thought that, hey, Coach Mack knows linebackers. Might as well do our linebacker preview today. And I want to start with kind of like the state of the Tennessee Titans linebacker room. You have Cody Barton, recently signed free agent. You have Otis Reese, Curtis Jacobs, who was a rookie last year that they claimed off waivers from the New England Patriots. You have Cedric Gray, who they drafted last year in the 4th round. James Williams, who they drafted last year in the 7th round. And I believe I'm missing one more, but I cannot remember their name. But at the end of the day, they have a pretty well-stocked cupboard of players. Not saying that they're all starters, but they got a lot of players at that position right there. And I thought it was interesting at the owners' meeting, Brian Callahan said this, and this is according to PK, who was down at the owners' meeting, says, we need Cedric Gray to step up with Cody Barton. Brian Callahan on the inside linebackers. He also mentioned James Williams and possible additions, but I thought it was interesting that it was Cedric Gray's name. Now, he does have the 4th round value attached to him, so I would assume that he would be the guy that they want to step up. But there's a lot of, to me, there was a lot of Kenneth Murray and Cedric Gray's on tape. A super athletic linebacker, a rangy linebacker, not the best guy to really be in coverage. He's the guy that you want going after the quarterback or going after the running back. So they traded Kenneth Murray, obviously, to the Dallas Cowboys. So we didn't get to see a lot of Cedric Gray, though. So they're kind of requiring Cedric Gray to step up without really having much information on Cedric Gray besides what went on behind the scenes in their own building.
Yeah, I mean, just listening to you say that, and you say Barton's not a great cover guy, and then you have Cedric Gray is not a great cover guy. I mean, man, that's a recipe for disaster. I don't know if that's a good match for both. We shall see. I know Reese, he may be a little undersized, but I love what I see out of him. He continues to progress and get better. He was a converted safety a couple years back, and so I like what I saw out of him. And to be honest, I love Barton. I like what I saw him. He's reacting. He didn't miss a beat. I mean, his read skills and filling is incredible. So I love what I saw out of him. Cedric Gray, only thing I could say when he got out there, was it the Commanders game? Might have been one of the games where the linebackers were injured and they rushed all over the place. But he had the neck or shoulder issue or stinger. I don't know what it was in training camp. So that really, stunted his growth as a player by, probably missing practice and not getting to play. But one thing I can say about him on special teams, when I watched him, his first special teams game to the last one, drastic improvement. And bringing the intensity that you need to play on special teams. And I think he finally figured out, his little mojo, what it's going to take to play in this league. So I now want to see it on defense. Seems to be a pretty sharp guy when he was out there. Naturally, there were some things he missed. You got to get some experience. So I'm sure they're thinking he is going to be the guy. But if he isn't quite ready, is the backup plan this Curtis Jacob guy?
I don't know. Curtis Bolton is another one. So they have two Curtises. They have two Curtises. They have Curtis Jacobs, who was the guy that they picked up from
New England.
And Curtis Bolton is a guy that's played. He's kind of gone around the league a few places, and I believe they picked him up towards the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken.
No, that's not him. Where did he get?
Yeah. I believe he was with the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken. But I look at it: Giants, Raiders, Lions, Texans, Packers. So I think maybe I'm thinking Packers, not anything else. But that's a guy that's been around the league. He's about to turn. He'll be 29 for this season. He turns 30 December 18th. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they attack this linebacker position in the draft? Do they wait for undrafted free agency? Because this linebacker class is kind of all over the place. I remember at the start of the season this year when we're talking college football, a lot of people are like, oh, linebacker is going to be really good. It's going to be a really good linebacker class. And really, when you start looking at it, it's like Jihad Campbell and everybody else who's the inside linebacker from Alabama. Carson Schweichinger is good, but he's going to be out of range for them. I like Jeffrey Bassa, but like, I don't see this team necessarily spending a lot of picks on defense this draft. And if they do, I'm not sure it's going to be inside linebacker. What do you think?
Yeah, that there is another time you start questioning with that second pick at 35. Do you take, if you stick and stay, you take the receiver or the pass rusher?
Right.
And then after that, you go, well, dang, what direction, if other than those two, I wouldn't go at linebacker. This group here is why I bring it up, is because I just saw a whole bunch of solid players. And as you mentioned, those two at the top, the Oregon guy I liked a lot. The Schlesinger kid from UCLA has a heck of a story where he was a walk-on there and didn't start until his last season. So that rang alarm bells. And then when I start watching him, I'm going, man, how the heck was he sitting on the bench? Oh, here we go. Politics. See, he wasn't on scholarship. I'd be dang if I want the best player or I'm going to put the best player out there or not. So I get a little perturbed about that because somebody couldn't see with their own eyeballs. Because this guy, I was impressed with. He may be a little light in the junk there a little bit for the NFL. Granted, he still is 225. I thought he is going to be somewhere around that third round. There's no doubt about that. Jihad Campbell was the number one guy. But another guy I really liked was your guy at Oregon. I didn't know you knew. He's an undersized. And I'm not going to say he is him, but the story is somewhat similar to Keith Bullock. Safety turned linebacker in college. And he played safety. And so I like that. That means he's got speed. That he's a little slow on some reads. And I don't know if he was playing with an injury or something. I'm real big on looking at guys like, why is he running like that? I felt like he was playing with an ankle injury. But, that he was the guy that stood out. The kid from Oklahoma, Stunted there.
That's Jackson's guy. He loves him some Danny Stutzman.
There are times that I say, ooh, and then there's other times going, what are you doing? And that's why when you say it's all over the place, that's how I felt about a lot of these guys. I watched Barrett Carter. I watched him in high school. He went to North Gwinnett High School. They had like 4 guys that's going to be in the league on that team. Downs was on that team, by the way, the receiver for the Colts. He played, by the way, and he was the running back and the starting linebacker there in North Gwinnett. So I like him, but there's times 2023 looked better than this past season. And I don't know why, but he's a thumper, and he has some range. He looked like he could cover well, but then sometimes it looks like he's lost. So I was really baffled by that. The Cody Simon guy from Ohio State, he looks like a solid mid-round guy. The other guy that I think is a sleeper, though, in this draft is Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, junior. Yeah, South Carolina. He's 6'2", 245. You talking about somebody looks a bolt of lightning. One of the main traits I love about a linebacker is when they get like a step or two away from you, all of a sudden it speeds up. And he got it. And all the guys I kind of mentioned had that. But he stood out more than any of them. More so than not. I think somebody's going to get a dime in there. He looks in the backfield, and that's another thing. And I can't wait to talk to Coach Mack because the read reaction, a lot of these guys aren't reading their keys, so they're not taught. So they're just following the ball, and they're just so much more athletic than everybody else. They'll find a way to, hit a gap and make a play. That's why you see inconsistencies there. So that was a little baffling for me. It was another guy that I watched from Oklahoma State. Can't remember his name. Nicholas Martin.
Oh, yeah,
Martin. There are two of them. There's 2 of them.
Yeah, Colin Oliver and Nick Martin are both.
Yeah. I kind of liked him at times. I think, But this class, I don't. Nothing really just like, oh, wowed me like. after the first round, I mean, then the Titans won't be in the first round with a linebacker.
Yeah.
So I kind of got caught in the weeds. I'm like, I'm going to find a guy. And I couldn't really get a guy, but I know what I was looking for. I wanted read reaction, the run ability. I wanted, are they good in man-to-man schemes? What schemes and systems do they fit? Do they have sudden change and loose hips and lateral agility? And then tackling. Naturally, I'm saying that as how many times did I see them like miss tackles?
Right.
In an open space because they don't want to be out in that open space. So those are the kind of things that I was looking for through that whole process.
Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about why we think that is happening with these college prospects, why there's such a grab bag, random assortment of linebackers that really have no defining qualities. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
It is 2:02. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. The Florida Gators are national champions after defeating the Houston Cougars by a score of 65-63. The Gators trailed by as much as 12 in the second half, but came back to secure their first title since going back in 2000 in 2006 and 2007. Will Richard led the Gators in scoring with 18. The Titans are hosting Washington State wide receiver Kyle Williams on a 30 visit today. Williams was teammate with top quarterback prospect Cam Ward for one season in 2023, catching 61 passes for 841 yards and 6 touchdowns. Tennessee baseball back on the diamond tonight as they host Alabama State. First pitch in that one set for 5 p.m. For your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour 2 of Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. 1045 is the number. We're going to have Coach Mack on here in just a bit to talk about the NFL draft, the linebackers, Taylor Zarzour. I think I got that one right. I think I got it. I've been practicing, so I hope I got it right. As well as the new voice of the Tennessee Titans that will be alongside Coach Mack. So we've been talking about this linebacker class, and I don't know if underwhelming is the right word, but bland feels like the right word. It just feels very bland. Like you alluded to it as like it feels like a bunch of third rounders or laters. There's a first round guy, Jahad Campbell. There's nobody really worth the second round pick, and then it's just third round guys and later. And that's for really all NFL teams. Really, it feels like. Mm-hmm. And so when you're looking at this development, because we've talked about this with offensive linemen, right? They come in, they need so much coaching. And it really feels like the things that you really want from your linebacker doesn't really feel like it's being coached to a certain degree, or maybe these athletes are not able to do it, but it feels like it's hard to find the guy that can do it all in a copious amount. Like you get one or two guys that can do it all, but you never get a guy that has the size, that has the athleticism, that has it between the ears. Like you never find that. You rarely find that guy out of these linebacker classes the last few years.
Yeah, and that'd be a great question for Coach Mack. That's his kind of his specialty there. I know he coached the linebackers for a long time in the DC and then a head coach. But, I don't know what the trend is, but that's kind of how I felt when I was watching them. Yesterday and today, just kind of delving into them really deeply because there was this inconsistency, when you're watching them, you're like, oh man, that's a great play, great read. And then all of a sudden you see them go back to like, right. Well, they're just trying to play off their instincts, and that can lead you down, the wrong path. So sometimes, I would say most of the time it's going to be the player. If you see some glimpses of sharpness and mentally and reading that triangle, there in the box. But, man, these guys are super athletic, and so they're making plays. It's just you didn't see somebody who just jumped off the tape and just like, wow. Outside of, Campbell, Schlesinger, and the Oregon guy and the South Carolina guy for me. Everybody else were just like, oh, they're solid players. Even your guy at Oklahoma, what's his last name? I really liked him, but he was so inconsistent. Then I go, he's 6'4", 240. He'll probably go third round or something. It was like, man, I want to see you do that all the time. And then, sometimes he played small. I'm like, what? You're 6'4". At least that's how you're listed. I mean, maybe he's 6'3", 240. But, man, I just... And I watched him play, and
he's 6'3", so
yeah,
I mean, like 6'3" and some change.
Yeah, and he did real well versus Tennessee because I remember him. He won that arm brace. Yeah.
And
so and he did well. And then when you just kind of delve into him deeply, he misses sometimes on his reads, and I guess you got to say that comes with the territory when you're dealing with someone that's in college. So you just want to see that they're more consistent than most. And I could say he's probably right on that edge for me. But outside of that, the rest of the guys are just good, solid players.
I mean,
hard to differentiate them after that.
Yeah. How important is it for the Titans to find a coverage linebacker, do you think? I mean, they got all these cornerbacks. They got some safeties. I mean, it feels that it's still important to have a coverage linebacker in today's NFL, but are we overrating it to a certain extent where you just need a guy that can at least make a tackle, that you can count on to be in his spots in the run game? Because it really seems like we talked a lot about the linebackers in coverage last year, but it really seemed like this year the problem was the linebackers in run defense, not really pass defense. I remember a couple of years ago we were complaining about pass defense, and now we're complaining about run defense, not really pass.
Yes.
But I know it's a passing league, and it seems like a ridiculous question on its face.
It's not, because, I'm going to say this. Even in my era where there were running the ball a lot more than they throw the ball, and, halfway through, then it kind of changed. But linebackers are going to instinctively always take a false step to run play action fake. So there's very, very few besides, guys that I play with, let's say with the Titans, and Keith Bullock. Because the guy was a converted safety. People don't even know that. He was a converted safety, just like Javon Curse was a safety in high school. Then he went to linebacker. Then he went to defensive end. That's why they all of a sudden are some freak of nature type players. Well, because I've been playing a skill position. Now all of a sudden I'm kind of, in the box. This is a little bit easier. So I'm going to just let my athletic ability, take over. So it's hard to find those guys. So they have length. That are disciplined and can cover, because most of these guys are going to bite up on play. That's their natural instinct. It comes with the territory. I'd get frustrated just seeing a guy that's supposed to drop into the curl flat area and he can't even get there because he's up there sniffing around. They just throw right over his head.
Right.
And, I used to get mad because it counts against the passing yardage. Hey, man, you got to get back. Don't take the cheese. The cheese is not going to get the first down. They can't help it. They cannot help it. I don't think it's because of they can't cover. I think it's just they can't, get that in between. You got to understand, if you start studying the playbook of the other team, that this is a passing situation. Don't sniff up on the cheese.
It just really feels like, okay, if you got production from a linebacker, he's undersized.
Right.
If you got the size, well, he's unathletic. If you got the athleticism, well, he doesn't have the production. Like,
it's
it just feels like
one guy.
And that's where Jihad Campbell comes in, is like him, Carson Schweisinger, they have it all across the board. Another guy that I find very interesting is Francisco Magua. I can't pronounce it.
Who's he with?
He plays for the Miami Hurricanes.
Oh.
And he was a guy that kind of has the size. He's 6'2", 233. He's got big hands. He's got long arms. He's got the athleticism, right? I mean, this is a guy that had a pretty good combine. And you look at, he walked away with a 9.13 RAS. So that is a total of all of his accomplishments. And he did every drill. A 4.24 shuttle. So, I mean, he's pretty quick in space and all that kind of stuff. And he has the production.
And he would watch tape and it matched up.
Right. And it matches up, but then you're kind of like, okay. He was second team All-ACC, led the team with 96 tackles, tied for the team lead with 11 tackles for losses. So, I mean, like, out of the entire defense, he tied for it with 11 tackles for losses. Started all 13 games, but when do you draft him? A productive 3-year starter with everything you're looking for a linebacker, but when you're the Tennessee Titans, when do you draft him?
If the Titans had drafted a linebacker, I wouldn't be mad. I'm just telling you. Like, I just don't know if they are, at this point in time, whether you're getting a veteran or an undrafted guy, and hopefully, you get a diamond in the rough. I mean, and you find somebody who's kind of got that combination. So it's kind of a position that I think you can get fortunate enough to do that at that position. It's really weird. Yeah. So,
by the way, I said RAS. I should clarify. RAS is relative athletic score. So it takes in all your size, your weight, and everything, all the combine drills, and turns it into a score.
Yeah, you told me I got 100.
You were pretty close.
Nah, just kidding.
But I mean, like right now, I think because this is where we get kind of lost in this linebacker class. You know, this Francisco guy that I just talked about from Miami has all of these great traits, but right now he's predicted to be, by the consensus draft boards that include mock drafts by fans, mock drafts by teams, and big boards, you know, all that kind of stuff. A lot of noise in here, a lot of unnecessary information. But they're saying that he's peaked at like 192 overall, and I'm like, this is going to be a guy that I feel like the NFL is going to be higher on, and everybody's going to be like, oh, fourth round. They're like, oh, who's this guy?
Did he play in any All-Star games?
He played in the, believe that is the symbol for the East-West Shrine Bowl. Yes. So East-West Shrine Bowl. So, I mean, it's a guy to put on your radar, but again, I don't know when you draft a linebacker in this year.
What do you think,
Sixth
Jackson?
round? I don't even know if they do. My thing is, I don't think they do.
I don't think I'm getting a linebacker, man. They got too many
Two
holes.
picks in the fourth round. I would assume one of
Fourth
those is a
round?
linebacker.
You think so? Man, I don't know. I think it really depends on what they do on the second round. If they,
Fourth round?
yeah, man,
That's what they took Cedric Gray, right?
yeah.
What round
Yeah.
did they take? Or fifth round?
Cedric
fourth
Gray was the
round.
fourth round.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk to Coach Mack about this linebacker class and Taylor Zarzer, the new voice of the Tennessee Titans, as well. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Struggling with joint pain? Suffering from a recent injury? Looking to recover faster after surgery? Well, at Edge, we've got you covered. From powerful peptide stacks like BPC 157, TB 500 to PRP treatments, stem cell therapy, and high field muscle stimulation, Edge Peptide is your go-to solution for faster healing and recovery. And as an athlete myself, I know how frustrating pain and injuries can be. That's why now is the perfect time to take control of your wellness and finally address those nagging issues. Whether it's golf, tennis, or any activity you love, don't let pain hold you back any longer. Edge specializes in regenerative treatments designed to reduce inflammation, promote tissue repair, and improve mobility, helping your body heal naturally while avoiding surgery whenever possible. And right now, we're offering a free $250 consultation with your initial treatment. And all you have to do is just go to edgepeptide.com. Yes, that's edgepeptide.com. Or you can just give them a call today at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. And you know what that music means. It's time for our weekly Mack Attack with Coach Mack, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer. And Coach Mack, how you doing today?
Good, Zach, Blaine. How we doing, guys?
Doing pretty good. You got a new partner in crime in the radio booth. Taylor Zarzer. It was announced yesterday as the new voice of the Tennessee Titans. What can you tell us about Taylor from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I've had several conversations with him. He's down at the Masters right now, doing his Masters duty there for Sirius XM. We'll have a dinner with he and Rhett Bryant and Amy Wells in the next few days when he gets back into town. Start filling him in on some of the things. I think he'll be with us at the draft. He didn't have a lot of time to dig into the draft this year, but looking forward to working with him. He's got comes with some really nice credentials, and he's been on. You guys have heard him on a couple of things he's done with the Titans, as far as just the interview that he had with Amy Wells that's on the Titans website, and also, he's been on the Zone. He was on 3HL. The thing about him is the guy really is a professional. He's been here in this market before, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we will. I know we're going to enjoy it because I know that we're going to both bring a passion to it, and that's what's extremely important, for our fans on the radio.
Do you get a Masters hookup? Maybe you get to go to the event now that he's working in the booth with you?
You know what? I really don't. He offered some Masters stuff up to me just in conversation we were talking. I told him I've already got Masters connections, so we're good.
Oh, man, look at you. I apply every year. They do that lottery. I apply every year. Still have yet to get it.
I believe you too.
Hey, listen, I would love to go. I've never watched golf live. I watch it on TV, but that's about it.
If you're fortunate enough that that's your first live look at the PGA Tour, then you're going to be in heaven, brother.
That's awesome. Okay, Mack, we're talking linebackers today. We've been talking about this draft class, and it just seems like not a lot of guys stand out to Blaine and I, outside of like Jahad Campbell and Carson Schweisinger out of UCLA. What do you think is your overall impression about this draft class, in particular the linebackers?
Yeah, well, that's where it's going to be. Those are the two top guys. I've got. If you want to talk linebackers, let me get to my linebacker section in my draft book here and look at them. I've looked at quite a few of them clearly, but you're right. Those two guys are at the top of this list. Most of these linebackers will be taken. They'll be second and third day guys. Then it really depends on the flavor that you are looking at, and then what your idea is that you're going to bring them in for. Linebacker is kind of a position that has morphed a lot throughout my time in the National Football League, and especially now with what's going on in collegiate football. Everything is so spread out that you're really looking for a premium on guys that can play in space. But I think the fallacy is there's still a lot of things that linebackers have to be able to do, the things that they don't get a lot of because you've only got 20 hours in the collegiate game. I've spent a lot of time with college linebacker coaches and some of the various things that I do. They just don't have a lot of time to teach a lot of things that you need to do, especially where to put their eyes, and especially with what we call K&D, or the key and diagnose, of being able to. A big part about playing linebacker, that is really important because it's a connector between the front and the back end, is you've got to train their eyes, and they've got to be able to eliminate things that might happen so they can. You can't play everything 50-50 in a linebacker slot every time because of where you are, you're going to be behind. You've got to learn to study your opponents. You've got to learn to study film, and then you've got to look for what we used to call bird and rabbit keys, specifically on every down and distance that you learn and you glean from really good tape study, not just watching tape, but tape study, so that you can narrow your focus in so that you're not playing 50-50 on every down. Because if you play 50-50 on every down, especially at the linebacker spot, a slow, correct decision at linebacker, you're wrong because you're going to be behind. You've got to learn how to get ahead of the plays, especially at that. So there's a lot of training that is involved, And a lot of it is where you put your eyes, the mental training, and then what the linebackers have to learn a lot of that I've been around. Blaine Bishop is a great example, even moving from the back end down to where he had to play in that 46 defense. You got to train your eyes different so that you're not just chasing rabbits every time that you line up.
And that was coaching, Coach Mack, because I played corner my whole entire life. So I had never played in the box ever before. So I got a hats off to all the guys that were, you included in that, teaching me how to play. And then I definitely took and ran with it from there. But, yeah, that was a whole new experience and trying to get a leg up on some of those big 300-pounders.
Well, and that's how you did it. And, and the thing that I always used to say, and again, I didn't invent all of this. I mean, I was fortunate to have some great linebackers early in my career that I learned from, and that fabulous group that I had there at the Bears for all those years. But you've got to be able, and I would say it's a difference between driving. It's between driving with your bright lights on and driving with your dims on. You got to be able to expand your vision and be able to focus on and then anticipate what's going to come with the knowledge that you've learned from studying film and your opponent. That's what was very, very critical. That was a huge part of your game that was just that was outstanding. Most of the time, sometimes I had linebackers that may have gotten beat sometimes physically, but they very seldom, got outsmarted because they knew what to study.
Mm-hmm. So when you're scouting these linebackers and everything, what is obviously key and diagnose and all this kind of stuff? How do you pick up on that through the scouting process, what they got behind the ears? I mean, can you find that stuff on tape on a consistent basis, and that's how you make your choice, or do you have to kind of do it like the quarterbacks and get in front of the guy and put him up on the board and all that kind of stuff?
No, I mean, all the years that when I would go to school workouts, I mean, I'd go to a dozen school workouts a year, especially when I was a linebacker coach, and sit down. No, I had to sit down with them. What are you looking at? What are you seeing? Why are you looking at this? Why, how did you do this? Here's how I can help you. Let's zero in on these things. I mean, anybody that I was interested in, of course, where I was working and, had the capability to go anywhere to sit down with these guys. I mean, that was paramount to me. Is being able to sit down, because that's something you have to talk about. You have to talk out, and you just don't get it immediately. I mean, when we drafted Stephen Tulloch here in the 4th round, I mean, the draft board had somebody, because somebody else at height, weights, and those types of things rated above him. And I can remember we went in, he was a 4th round pick. That was when rounds 1, 2, and 3 were in the first day. And Jim Schwartz and I went into, when Fitch said, look, here's who we're going to take in the 4th round after that first day. And Schwartz and I went in and said, look, no, this guy we're talking about may have the height, weight stuff. This guy may not have all the numbers, but let's just watch him, because he can find the football, and I can teach him, what to look at with Stephen Tulloch. So, Fish went in and with Floyd. Floyd agreed, and we took Stephen Tulloch, and I mean, he had to learn those types of things, but it also helped who he was surrounded by. I mean, he had David Thornton on one side of him and Keith Bullock on the other. But, I mean, and Tully will tell you to this day, I mean, he had a long career, but he had to break himself of being a rat ball player just to take off running and chasing, like a dog chasing a car tire down the street, as soon as the ball was snapped. But once he learned what to look at and read, I mean, had a pretty nice career.
We're on with Coach Mack going through the NFL draft, and he's brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
Well, Coach, with all that being said, I think you kind of said it, but you just give me 1, 2, 3 traits that you want out of a linebacker in the order.
Well, number one, I want a guy that really, really is going to zero in on football.
Right.
I mean, that has to be paramount, because there's a lot of learning that goes into playing a really good linebacker. And if you're going to play behind the ball, it's different if you're on the edge. I mean, as you've talked about. But a guy that's going to study and learn how to read that center guard triangle, and also is willing to spend a lot of time learning the nuances. That's the first thing I've got to have. Then I want a guy that's got some short area quickness. has got to have some short area quickness, because everything you do as a linebacker in this league, I mean, you know, a 40 time is good, but being able to get in a short space, because you're working in short spaces as a linebacker. So that is extremely, extremely important. And the next thing is, got to have a guy that is instinctive and knows how to find the football. Because finding the football, a GPS to the football, there's a lot that you can train on that, but there's also a lot that's instinctive. You played with guys like that. You were a guy like that. That when the chaos starts, and it's chaotic in that box in there, you've got to be able to find the football in all that chaos. So those types of things you look for, and you can find that some on film. What you don't want is a guy that is always the third or fourth guy to the party anytime that there's the football is going to the edge or it's going up inside. You don't want guys to late to the party to the football.
All right, now give me, I guess, maybe one guy or two late in the draft, let's just say 7th round, that you think would be available, but you say, oh, should we just not draft him and maybe get him as a free agent, but he may not be there? Give us a gem. Give us, a couple gems, the later round guys.
Yeah, well, I don't know about a gem, but there's some guys here. Let me look down at the list here at some guys I have. Okay, well, there's a linebacker at UCLA named Medrano that was a safety that can run. I like this kid, Kay Medrano. There's two guys, Kay Medrano, and then there's a kid at Miami that you look at him on tape, and he's always showing up to the football. He was at the East-West game, a kid named Francisco Muaga. And, this guy can find the football now. He may be technically not as polished as you would want, but those two guys will be there in that third day late, and because they can both run and they can both find the football, those two guys kind of caught my attention.
No doubt about it. We're with Coach Mack giving us a Mack attack. Now I'm going to go through a couple guys and kind of give me your scouting report and where you think they'll go in the draft. And my first one I'm starting with is Demetrius Knight Jr. at South Carolina, 6'2", 245.
I'll read to you right here. Let me get to him. That's what I got. 6'2". Let me see his 40. He's a 4.58 guy.
Ooh.
He's 2.25. Let me get to the bottom of this. Where I got him late second round or third round guy.
Yeah.
That's where I have it. He's got a good downhill trigger. He's explosive. He's got instincts as a blitzer.
Yes.
He's got good timing and acceleration to the ball. When he strikes, he's got a good punch. He's got a good punch on him. His straight line speed is good. His zone coverage awareness, I talked about that before. I gave him pluses on that when I look at him. I think he'll be a high-level special teams player at the least when he comes in. And then he's a kind of a natural leader out there on the field.
I like him.
He gets over-patient on his run fit, just what I've said. That his lateral agility and change of direction, he's not elite in that type of thing. The other thing about him is, and you've got a lot of guys that do this. A lot of times they'll dive off that diving board to go make a big hit. He needs to learn how to just gather his feet and run through the tackle. I think his man coverage limitations, depending on what kind of man coverage you put him in. I mean, it's very different. If you're playing man match or you're playing pass off zone, it's different than if you're just going to line him up, on a back that's split out. I don't think that's his forte. But the other thing, he gets caught flat-footed at times. It's the things I'm talking about. But I think you can overcome that if you train his eyes a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I've got him a late second or a third-round pick.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that there. All the assessment there, Coach Mack, man, that was big time there. I want you to kind of compare these two, and this is my last question, and I'll hand it over to Zach. Barrett Carter, the Clemson kid, versus the Oregon kid, Jeffrey, I want to say Bassa?
Jeffrey Bassa?
Bassa, yeah.
Yeah, I like, first of all, Jeffrey Bassa. I like Jeffrey Bassa. He really caught my eye down at the Senior Bowl. Let me go to my sheet on Carter. I got him right here. He's a 6-foot guy, 231 pounds. He's a 4'6'3", mid-40s guy. I've got him rated as a third-round player. Most of these guys are going to fall in that belly of that third round, third to fourth to fifth round guys, depending on what they do. Now, this guy, when the chaos starts, he's pretty good in there. He's a good downhill player. I like that. He's got a good explosion, initial pop when he takes on blocks. Good tackler. He's got good feet. He can get through the chaos. He works through the briar patch pretty good, is what I wrote right here. He got good range from side to side. He's an effective blitzer, and his eye discipline in zone, from what I could tell with the films that I watched, was decent. He really gets swallowed up. He can get swallowed up. He can get swallowed up if he doesn't get ahead of the blocks. Because he's not a real big guy. He gets swallowed up. He got a little hezzy in his play sometimes with change of direction as far as key and diagnose. And there's sometimes when his pursuit angles are a little bit more rounded than I would like, rather than you talk about GPS and right to the ball. And then sometimes he's got a hit or miss on that. You can see him overrun some plays. But I like the fact that he's an aggressive football player. I've got him as a third-round player there. Let me get to my thing on Bassett here, because I like Bassett at the
Yeah, I did too, man. Woo. He was converted safety,
6'1",
by the way.
232, Blaine. 4'6'3". I've got him a little bit, in that third top of the fourth round type of a player. Real quick, let me hit the pluses and minuses I wrote on him. Got good instincts. You can see those instincts, those coverage instincts. You can see it's a Senior Bowl, just like you saw on film. He's got good blitz timing. It's not just blitzing; it's the timing of blitzes that's important from that second level. He understands that. It looks like he's got a little bit more fluid body, lower body to me. He's a former safety. He's a former safety, which you can see some of that in his play.
Yep.
And to me, I mean, he'll go after him. He'll go after him, tackling. He called defenses down there at the Senior Bowl. It looks like he's got command of it. I think, again, this guy should be a good special teams dude. Okay, weaknesses. He lacks ideal play strength at the point. His frame, he's a little higher cut. Some guys that size, it's different as far as their trunk length. He's a little higher cut guy. He'll overrun some plays. And then I'd like to see a little bit more ball production, but I think you can coach that into him. And he also, early in the season, I found out, because I wanted to get some guys about this. He had an ankle injury early in the 2024 season, but I don't get to visit with these guys. I don't know their medicals, but I like this player. But I thought he really stepped up and showed out pretty good down there at the Senior Bowl.
We're going to let Jackson ask the last question of the segment. He's got a question for you specifically.
About his player.
What's up, Coach?
Excellent. Hey, Jackson.
Coach, what do you think about the linebacker out of Oklahoma, Danny Stutzman? I've been a big fan of him throughout this process.
Danny Stutzman, I'm glad. Here, let me go. Coach Mack's got all these guys written down. All right, Jackson, here it is. The Price is Right. First of all, Stutzman is 6'3". He's a little longer, 233 pounds. He's a 4.52 guy. That was at the combine, and that puts him up there. You got a 34-inch vertical. That's what I got of him at the combine. I got a third-round grade on him. Let me read real quick here. We don't run out of time. His run game recognition is really good. He's got a good trigger. He goes downhill. He's got a feel. Some guys have a feel as to be able to how to I call it slalom, how to move inside of all the stuff that's going on in the traffic. He's really good at that. He's got some coverage versatility. He's a good tackle. I think he's a high-level football IQ dude. I wish I could talk to him, but he does take command of the huddle. You can tell that. Now, his short area quickness, that's his limitation. And the other thing is there's times that he needs to be a little bit more, not get caught so in space, not get caught so in between. He needs to make decisions quicker. And also, all of these guys, him included, need to learn how to use their hands and their levers as shock and shed. Very few guys know how to do that coming into the league because they're all dip and rip guys. They're all dip and run. That's the thing they have to learn how to do is use their hands, because if you don't learn how to shock and shed and get those, because blockers are so much more athletic in this league that are going to be on top of you. He needs to learn that. I think he's a little bit stiffer in the lowers than these other guys we've talked about. And here's the other thing, too. He needs to be able to run through tackles more than reach it. But I mean, to
That's
me,
with that size.
you draft this player, you know where his limitations are, but I think, and again, I've never talked to him, but he has appearance of and carries himself like a fairly high IQ dude down behind the ball.
Well,
Wait,
one more.
One more, Coach. I want to ask you this. Give us a good story if you got one, how you hide your draft intentions.
Well, first of all, loose lips sink ships, right? All this stuff that you hear, that people are saying this is this. I mean, if you've got to keep your circle really tight as far as to who you're talking to about what you're doing. You don't talk outside the building about anything that you're doing. But the things that you can do, the thing where people get fooled a lot on, and again, these 30 visits, a lot of people will say, well, those are who they're drafted. Not necessarily. You visit guys throughout the whole range of the draft, and you're not only looking at them for now, but some of these guys may be free agents that you want to get, because that's a Wild West show after the draft's over to get these free agents. So you bring some guys in so you can get a feel and a vet for them that if they're free agents that you're able to get them, because you can't get everything you want, in the draft. So all of those things are important. But the biggest thing is if you got somebody that's talking outside of the room, you need to let them go and bring somebody else in that knows how to keep quiet.
Oh,
There you go. Straight from Coach Mack. Coach Mack, thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Guys, my pleasure. Jackson, good question.
There you go.
Appreciate it, Coach.
See you guys.
See ya.
There you go.
That was, of course, Coach Mack, brought to you by Two Rivers Ford, South's most trusted Ford dealer. When we come back, we'll wrap up our linebacker discussion. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, folks, I've been talking about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance for years because they're the leading experts in sports medicine and performance and the team physician for the NFL, college, and high school athletics across Tennessee. And TOA provides sports medicine coverage to more high school and college sports teams than any orthopedic group in the state of Tennessee. They have 29 locations throughout the state and over 100 physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. And TOA has 11 urgent care locations with walk-in availability 7 days a week. They offer direct access to sports medicine and performance, physical therapy and nutrition, personalized rehabilitation plans to enhance mobility, reduce pain, and improve overall physical function for patients recovering from injuries or surgeries. And TOA also offers sports performance training, a specialized program designed to enhance athletic performance and provide tailored training solutions for athletes at all levels. So please check out their services at TOA.com. Yes, that's TOA.com.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. Last call for phone calls. Demetrius Knight has been a popular name in the F&M Bank chat on Twitter to YouTube, Facebook Live. You know, he's been playing since 2019.
How old is he?
He's pretty old. I mean, I don't.
He's Jackson's age.
Yeah, I mean, he's old. So he's been playing since 2019. He's played 2019. He played in all 12 games for Georgia Tech.
He's probably like 24.
2020, he played in 8 games as a reserve for Georgia Tech. So he then played in 12 games as a reserve in 2021 in Georgia Tech. He redshirted 2022 for Georgia Tech.
He got injured?
I guess so. Played in 4 games before deciding to transfer after the dismissal of head coach Jeff Collins. Transferred to Charlotte, where he became first-team All-American Athletic Conference, led team with 96 tackles, 3 interceptions, started 12 games. And then he transferred to South Carolina in 2024. You know, like I said, tied for the team lead with 3 forced fumbles, played in all 13 games, 10 starts, 82 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and interception. So here's the thing.
Oh, my.
So he's a little on the older side.
Oh.
But you watch that Alabama game.
Watch this. Why does it matter when you're getting him as a rookie?
Right.
See, it doesn't matter. People, he's old.
He's got some real world experience, though. I'm not done.
Real world?
He's married.
Oh, well, that's even better. He's
has
matured.
2 children.
Yeah, he's matured.
His cousin is D'Angelo Hoff, the cornerback out of Virginia.
Oh, that helps him.
Yep. And listen to this. Distant cousin of R&B singers Gladys Knight and Aretha Franklin.
Oh, my.
This dude's got an interesting history behind him.
I didn't know all that, but I like what I saw. I mean, he looked like he's playing for something. So I like all that. I like some of the guys who've have kids in college because they had to be focused and they're playing for more than just themselves. So naturally that, I had some guys like that on my team in college, and it was like we never saw them except but at practice.
Right.
It was, hard business. One of them, again, you guys are young, but Bernie Pomeroy, he was a running back, and then he didn't get drafted. He worked at UPS initially that first year, and then the next year he worked for played for the Dolphins, and he started for the Dolphins at running back. I mean, that's how serious it was for him. So, you just never know where those guys' focus are because it changes pretty quick once, you get married and have a family.
So let me ask you this. There are 102 picks over the first 3 days of this draft, or the first 2 days of this draft, first 3 rounds. 102 picks. I heard this morning Greg Cosell say, I believe it was on
Buck Rising.
No, it was on Ross Tucker's show, if I'm not mistaken, where he said there was going to be 20 offensive tackles taken over the first 3 rounds, first 2 days, 20. So I'm doing the math, okay? So there's 5 quarterbacks that will likely be taken from day 1 to round 1 to round 3. You're talking, Ward, Sanders, Shuck, Milroe, not in this order, by the way, and Dart are likely to be drafted in the first 3 rounds. Typically, 15 wide receivers go in the first 3 rounds. Then you have 20 offensive tackles, according to him. Let's divide that by 2 to get you 10 offensive guards over 3 days. The edge typically has 15. You get to a certain point, you're over the first 3 days, you get to a certain, or the first 3 rounds, you're going to support like 4 running backs going to be drafted, 4 tight ends, 3 quarterbacks, 3 safeties, and 3 linebackers, in which some of these may end up being true. Linebackers, safeties, and running backs and tight ends may have that low of a number. But what that means is that good players are going to fall because they don't play premium positions.
Yeah.
Safety, linebacker, running back, and tight end aren't considered really premium positions. Mm-hmm. You can say all you want. Well, Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley have changed the game and all this kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to change the draft philosophy of these teams that much.
Especially it's a deep running back draft. But what you're getting to is that, him saying 20, man, and there's not enough picks really.
Yeah, that doesn't leave enough for the other positions.
So what tells you is a lot of guys are going to fall. They're going to fall back in the draft. And people must remember how many colleges there are and how many football teams there are. And we're talking about also FCS. It's hard to get drafted. Like people like, we only seeing, the SEC guys or the Big Ten guys and, all these guys are getting drafted. But, man, some of those guys are upset of where they're going in the draft just because they may be a fifth rounder. They felt like, man, dang, I may not be in quite a first rounder, but I know I should go in the second round. They go fifth round because it's also position. And sometimes when you start watching the draft, you'll see if an allotment of 3 wide receivers go, other ones start going because, they move up the board. We better get our guy. Every team starts getting nervous. So if it's a run on offensive tackles like Greg Osell said, maybe 20 go because other people start getting scared. Then that means everybody else is pushed down to the wayside.
Yeah, to me, it's just like you look at this and, you get in that 6th and 7th round and you got guys. Here's a guy, no clue on my radar, was Levi Drake Rodriguez.
I don't have it.
Defensive tackle drafted in the 7th round, and you're like, who? There wasn't anybody in the undrafted free agent pool that you felt was better than this guy. Now, I don't know if he did anything for them. Looks like he did play in 2 games for Minnesota, but it's like, again, I think listen, Dane Brugler said it best. He said, I've had a bunch of agents. I've had a total of agents tell me that 61 players are going to go in the first round. That's how the NFL drafts look. And nobody's ever going to be there at your pick. Oh, there's no way that guy will be there at pick 35, or there's no way that guy will be there in the 4th round. Chances are the NFL has a different viewpoint than what the analysts do. So we'll talk more about that as the week goes on. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 3HL's up next. And in the meantime.
And in between time.
Peace.